thank you for watching the ETF show. Joining us today from Baillie Gifford is investment specialist Diana Phillip. Well, first, Diana, why don't you start by telling us more about Baillie Gifford? For viewers new to Baillie Gifford, what do you stand for and how are you different from other asset managers?
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Absolutely. I am calling in from Edinburgh in Scotland. That is where Baillie Gifford is based. We are an investment manager. We were founded back in 1908, so we now have over 100 years of experience investing on our clients' behalf. What really makes us different is our ownership structure. We are an independent, privately owned partnership. We are owned by partners who work within the firm. This gives us an incredibly long-term horizon, not only in terms of how we manage our own business, but also how we invest on our clients' behalf. We have no external shareholders agitating us for quarterly results. That is really freeing in terms of how we invest on behalf of our clients and really enables us to be able to take a long-term view in everything that we do.
And why global, Diana, and why active?
Yeah, first of all, we at Baillie Gifford are looking to invest in a handful of exceptional companies that will really transform returns for our clients over the long term. Now, those outliers are global. They are not concentrated in any one particular sector or any one particular geography. So being global really frees us up to be able to distinguish those needles from the rest of the haystack, those few companies that really can transform client returns over the long term. Why active? Because we want to give ourselves the best opportunity to be able to distinguish what is an outlier from the rest of the opportunity set. Now, why I say all of this is because the evidence going back over 100 years points to just a very small number of companies really making a difference for wealth creation over the very long term. Why all of this matters is because, well, over the last century, equity markets have done extraordinarily well. US public equities between 1926 and 2025, for example, created $91 trillion in net shareholder wealth. But there's a very uncomfortable truth. The market did not create that wealth evenly. Of the nearly 30,000 listed US companies over that period, almost 60% of them delivered a return that was worse than that of US T-bills. And another good chunk was needed just to offset the value that was destroyed by those losers. The reality is that that entire $91 trillion of net wealth came from just under 4% of companies. And half of that wealth, about 45 trillion, came from only 46 companies. That's 0.15% of all of the companies that existed over that period. Now, why I'm emphasizing all of these figures is that you need an active approach to be able to find those needles among the rest of the haystack. You need a really disciplined investment research process that can separate those needles from the rest of the haystack. And that's exactly what we are seeking to do at Baillie Gifford.
Why BGGG, Diana?
Yeah, well, BGGG gives our clients access to our long-term global growth strategy in an active ETF structure. Now, our active ETF may be new for our clients, but this is based on a strategy which has a really long track record. It was founded back in 2004, so we now have 22 years of investing in a really concentrated portfolio looking to identify the world's most exceptional growth companies. And BGGG really brings that LTGG approach to an active ETF structure. The important point to make is that this isn't a passive product. It's not an index plus strategy. It's really a concentrated, active, global growth portfolio that is built from the bottom up. I say concentrated. We invest between 30 to 60 holdings. We have 38 holdings in the ETF today. We're completely benchmark agnostic. That means that we are totally freed from the shackles of the index. We are not required to allocate a particular percentage of the ETF to any one geography or sector simply because a benchmark dictates us to do so. We can have the freedom to really hunt anywhere in the world or in any sector for what we think will be the best global growth ideas globally. And finally, we have the patience to really enable transformational change to be able to make a difference to our clients' returns. I think that it's really staggering when you look at the statistics today of the average holding periods in the market. They've declined from about 8.7 years back in 1975 to a mere matter of months today. That is hardly any time to allow transformational change to really make a difference to investment returns. For us, in long-term global growth, we have that patience. Our average holding period is about 8 years. So we really are enabling those companies to deliver that exceptional growth and make a true difference for our client returns over the long term.
Finally, Diana, why now?
I think that today is a particularly interesting moment for active global growth investing. Markets are becoming ever more crowded, ever more impatient, and crowded around what's really a pretty narrow set of narratives. We at Baillie Gifford and we in BGGG are investing in transformational change. This is accelerating across many parts of the economy and the globe today. But the reality of that change is that it takes time to translate into investment returns. And so a patient approach is absolutely imperative to be able to capitalize on the change that we see. Today, we are seeing significant changes in things like compute, healthcare, automation, energy systems, digital commerce, education, mobility. I could go on. This is a portfolio that is seeking to identify the companies that are either driving or benefiting from that change rather than being disrupted by it. So for investors today, BGGG can really play the role of a very high conviction global growth allocation. It's not designed to replace all equity exposure. It won't suit all investors. We're looking to identify investors who, like us, have a long-term investment horizon and are excited by the opportunities that accelerating change is presenting to long-term, bottom-up fundamental investors. In short, BGGG is really for those clients who believe that the future is not going to look like the past and who want to have that active exposure to the companies that really might help shape it and that are at the forefront of that change. And I think that in a market that is becoming ever more impatient, that patience that we profess and that is really instilled in our DNA at Baillie Gifford can be a genuine advantage for clients.
Well, Diana, thank you so much for being with us. And thank you to everyone out there watching. Once again, that was Baillie Gifford investment specialist Diana Phillip. And I'm your host, Jenna Dagenhart with Asset TV.